Good evening. Tempe Union continues to maintain social distancing for the safety of our community. The open meeting law permits a public body to hold a remote meeting through technological means and implement procedures designed to safeguard the public's access to the meeting. We are streaming this meeting live on the district's YouTube channel. The time is now 7:00 p.m. We are reconvening. We will have the Pledge of Allegiance done by Dr. Mandeville, followed by a land acknowledgement, and we'll have also a moment of silence with the pledge. Dr. Mandeville?
Please stand. I pledge
The flag of the United States of America. Thank you. Tempe Union High School District acknowledges that our community of schools is located on the ancestral lands of the Akmil and the Peeposh people, who have inhabited these lands since time immemorial. With this land acknowledgement, the district formally recognizes the traditional care and keeping of these lands by indigenous peoples that allow us to be here today. All right, next we have a report from Superintendent Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the board, executive team members, and those in our viewing and listening audience. We appreciate your time with us this evening on a stormy evening. Last night, or Monday, we had our opportunity for open houses, and we are fortunate with 4 of our schools having open houses. The other 2, I'll just give a little update with Tempe High will have theirs in a couple of weeks during their parent-teacher conferences. And with the unfortunate fire that we experienced at Marcos Deniza, theirs will be postponed probably in another week and a half. And I'll give an update on that. But we're excited because we had some reports from the other 4 schools. Mountain Point had around 150 families attend, and in light of the pandemic numbers and what we're experiencing right now, we were able to offer both opportunities, the open house virtually, where our teachers put everything online, and we're able to help out our families in that virtual manner, and we also offered it in person. So about 150 families attended in person at Mountain Point. But lots of people virtually, and they had a really good turnout. What I heard as a common theme for all 4 of the sites is it was a great opportunity for our parents and our teachers to connect and get to know the children that they're going to be, the students they're going to be, have the pleasure in their classrooms this school year. McClintock, they had, along with the other schools, lots of opportunities with Rio Salado. They had the Rio representative there for our dual enrollment. Title I parent meetings were held. The curriculum night was at DV large. It was a third of an in-person attendance, but the virtual component, as I mentioned earlier, it really balanced all the schools out in that manner. Proud of all our student volunteers. They helped navigate our parents around the campuses, because we have some large, beautiful campuses, so, and our student council groups. So all in all, given the circumstances with weather and having a dual virtual opportunity, I think our attendance, and it was a very strong success starting the school year with our open house curriculum nights. And I know that's going to continue on with Marcos and Tempe High when they have theirs in a few weeks. Next, I want to recognize Mr. Mancuso. Steve, can you come forward? Wherever that mic is for you, we can pull it for him. And we want to recognize Steve. Steve is a familiar face in the district, at least for me. You've been around a while, Steve. In 1996, Steve was a social studies teacher at Mountain Point, but we are honoring him or recognizing him today as the new assistant principal for academics at Marcos Deniza. And he was a class sponsor as well as a swim coach for both the girls and boys teams. Steve took an administrative role at Mountain Point as the attendance person and at-risk coordinator before becoming a full-time counselor. I continually hear positive comments about your natural ability to connect with students. And for that, I'm grateful, but others learn from that example, so I appreciate that. Mr. Mancuso has made it his priority to give support and provide interventions to ensure students have the best high school educational experience possible. He is a leader of learning and places a premium on students' educational goals through college outreach and assistance with programs such as AVID, the Gifted Dual Language Program, and many others. Steve also provides social emotional support through community outreach. Steve is a strong addition to the administrative team at Marcos de Niza, and we know he will use his knowledge and experience to positively impact the school's students, parents, and staff. So congratulations on this recognition. Steve, you want to say a few things to everyone?
Absolutely. Dr. Mandeville, board members, executive team, thank you so much for this opportunity. Actually, first want to thank everyone, and we see the support for the Padres up there. It means so much, and we've had emails and people reaching out to us with that support. We really appreciate it. Our teachers are motivated and want to get back and are excited to get back. Our students have grit and they're excited, so this is going to be a setback, but we will get there. We will be great. When I was a counselor, I used to work with students, obviously, on graduation and credits, and they used to say, "Mr. Mancuso, I got this. Mr. Mancuso, I got this." And I used to say, "Are you sure?" They said, "Yes, I got this." Well, I can assure you from the Marcos de Niza staff out to you that we got this, and we will be great.
Absolutely.
As far as the position, this position means a lot to me. I was a Fuller Falcon. Were there any Fuller Falcons? Anybody else? Fuller Falcon. I was a Fees Firebird. Awesome. And of course, I was a Marcos de Niza Padre. This job, when it came open, felt like more than a job. It felt like my responsibility. And it felt like my responsibility to serve and continue to serve this community that made me. And I go to work every day with that in my mind. And that's to serve, and this is my responsibility. And Steve, you got to do this. So I go to work every day with that mindset, and will continue that mindset to serve our students, community, and our amazing staff and teachers at Marcos de Niza. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. Yes.
I have some little gifts. May I approach the bench? I've always wanted to say that.
Welcome to Integra Telecom's conferencing center. Please enter your 7-digit access code followed by the... Thank you. Please stand by. If you are the chairperson, press B now. Please enter your chairperson passcode.
Mr. Cleve, you don't want one?
To start your conference, press 1. To change account options, press 2. That entry is not valid. To start your conference, press 1. To start your conference now, press star. Or, secure, please state your name after the tone, then press pound. Thank you. Your conference will now begin. For a menu of conference commands, press star at any time. You will now be placed into conference.
Can we start? Okay. Our next recognition is Roxanne Perrin. Roxanne, can you come on up? She's new to the Corona team and is the new assistant principal for athletics. And I was over at Corona the other day, and Roxanne was busy at work in her office with a couple of students, so we appreciate that. But Roxanne joins our team as Corona's assistant principal of athletics, coming from Mesa Public Schools. that district that we don't talk about too much from the east. Roxanne has 11 years of experience in managing various athletic departments with that district. She most recently served as Mountain View's high school's assistant principal, athletic director. We're happy to have you and welcome you to Tempe, our Tempe Union family. But I will tell you, I had key individuals at the AIA and within Mesa Public Schools say, you've taken a number of our best employees from this district, and they named you. So thank you for being here, and I'm sure you're going to have a few things to say.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me here tonight. I don't know if everybody knows this. I was supposed to be here at the last board meeting, but I made the bad decision to go and get something to eat before the board meeting, and when I got there, I realized that I couldn't taste anything, which was somewhat alarming. So I decided I'd do what we model, or we ask our families and our children to do, which is if you're symptomatic, to stay away from other people. So that's where I was. I went and got tested. I turned out negative, which is good. But I'm happy to be here tonight. So a couple of people that I want to thank. I know that David Huffine is not here, but he was actually, you don't know this, but he's a Mesa guy and I'm a Mountain View girl, and we butted heads for about 3 or 4 years. He was like my mortal enemy. He is the one reason that I don't wear purple. I just can't. But he also called me up and said, hey, there's a good opportunity at Corona if you're interested in coming down to Tempe. So I just wanted to recognize that. Just whether he's here or not, hopefully he'll get that message. Also, I was hoping that my principal, Mr. Nate Cleve, would be here as well. Just thank you for choosing me from the interview process, and to the board as well for approving his recommendation. I'm really excited to be here. Corona is really good at what I call the 3 A's, which is, and I'm not telling you anything that you guys don't know, the arts, academics, and athletics, and that's what I live for, is just that overall excellence. We don't want to be good in just one thing. It's a scholar athlete and someone who's well-versed in the arts, so I'm excited to be at Corona. I know we have a great reputation. Corona has been good in athletics for a really long time, and I'm hoping just to enhance that, maybe bring some new things to the table and just build on the tradition that Corona has established from long ago. So very excited to be here. Can't wait. We've got our football field that's going in right now. They finally put some green turf on, so it's starting to feel really real. We think we're on schedule for football, which is going to be a blast, and we're getting ready to rock and roll. So thank you so much. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank you, Roxanne. We're glad you're with us, too. And that concludes my report, President Garcia.
Great, thank you so much. All right, next we have public comment. Dr. Mandeville, do we have public comment?
Yes, we do. We have 5, I think, public comment. We're going to start first with Amy Beeman. Hang on, just.
Thank you, Dr. Mandeville, for making accommodations for me to speak tonight.
Hang on 1 second, Amy, because we have to time everything.
Okay,
you
sorry.
know the little protocol. Thank you. Okay, sorry about that, Amy. We just had a little glitch there.
Yeah, we know I need a timer, though.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank you, Dr. Mandeville. Thank you again for making accommodations for me to speak. I only gave you 7 hours notice, and according to the policy written, you were supposed to have 72 hours prior notice to make accommodations. But as their superintendent, since my son became a freshman last year, you have consistently illustrated through your actions that you recognize individual needs, which is so important in education. You also realize that our needs are ever evolving and demonstrate empathy by recognizing that a clock or timeline cannot impede necessary exceptions that are required or desired. This displays a willingness to listen and consider alternatives instead of being dismissive. This is important for good leaders, to seek understanding and give validity to issues whether you agree or not. Covey would be proud. Bear with me, because I don't like public speaking, and I've got these big sheets here. But I would be remiss if I wouldn't speak out at the board member, because education is so important to me. I was having a conversation with a person who has vast experience in the field of education, and I was a teacher for 20 years myself. And as I was talking to her, I was reminded that sometimes the process is just as important as the outcome. Unintentionally, the process has facilitated division and distrust, and I think there's some bridges that need to be built on both sides. Unfortunately, I think Tempe Union High School District has helped create and foster a tug of war between opposing sides, and it's created a tunnel vision of to mask, to not mask. I've told Dr. Mandeville, I don't care, it's tunnel vision. There are so many things we're neglecting. Student failure rates, improving educational programs and services, fostering quality teaching, providing support for teachers, meeting individual needs of students. Refocus. Number 4 for your strategic goal is we will create and nurture partnerships with the community. As I look around the room, I don't question that everybody here is an integral part, but it is disgraceful that it's lacking parents filling these seats.
3 minutes? No, continue, Amy. Please continue. That went off. Yeah, you continue.
We have to go back to her.
I'm sorry, it's going to take me
No,
time.
we're sorry. It's technical difficulties.
Okay, sorry. Don't tell me that it's too dangerous, it's too hard, or it's not worth it. It's over a year of not having a seat at the table, and it's not okay. April 29th, I emailed the board, and I email them quite regularly. They know my name by heart. But I suggested, how about Zoom public comments? Now we're here, so that's good. Change venue to accommodate attendance. Actually follow up answering some questions that people posed during the public comments. And I asked the board, what other ideas do you think that we could get the parents back involved? Because it's crucial as an educator. And I heard crickets. By the way, it isn't just good for your constituents, it's good for you guys. You need to, number 1, take a temperature reading of the public. And it's hard to do that via a computer, a device. Number 2, you need to extrapolate information from those that affirm and counter you in your opinions for consideration. Number 3, demonstrate transparency and that you value all opinions. And number 4, provide guidance for the future. I could list more, and I'm limited to 3 minutes. Dr. Mandeville knows I could do 3 hours. I'll just close with saying, open meetings build back relationships.
Thank you.
I haven't used this before.
Next, we have Jeff Nixon.
Jeff Nixon? Jeff Nixon.
June I started, I paused it a little bit, so.
Is there a way to give copies to the board? Get my eyeballs on here. I can't see.
Welcome, Jeff. We are having some technical difficulties, so Dr. Wilson's going to, with our trusted iPhones, and time it that way, okay?
Okay, thank you. So my name is Jeff Nixon. I'm a Tempe resident. I have one son at Corona del Sol High School. With 3 minutes, I'm going to kind of get off script here and speak to a symptom of a bigger problem, which obviously you guys have heard a lot about the mask mandate. But today, my son was verbally assaulted by a teacher over a mask using expletives that I can't even say here. So we're to a point where teachers are using a political narrative, their opinions, their passions, which whether directed for good or evil, are now going into the classroom. And that's around psychological safety. So I think this is a pertinent topic for this room. It's about our children. So I don't care about politics. I don't care about the president. I don't care about any of that. I care about psychological safety with children in a learning environment. The words I heard today from my son of what a teacher said aren't spoken in my home. They should never be spoken in a classroom. I've spoken to the principal, and he's given me grace, and he called me tonight. So I give him a round of applause because he actually took initiative, and I feel there's a partnership step forward. But where I would really like to partner with this district and this community is taking steps to build working agreements that really help children, parents, and teachers. Because I believe teachers are also under the same stress because they're put under the same narrative that we all are, whether we use social media or politics or whatever your source is, personal world belief, right? We are at a time where we all have to partner together. You all up there, me, the principal, the teachers, all the students, we gotta come together and create working agreements. Psychological safety is at the center of that because this is about human capital, and that human capital is our children. Nothing more. It's not me, it's not you guys. You're elected. You're meaningless in all this at the end of the day. So am I. I pay taxes. But I want my son, all three of my sons, to have a better life than I did. I've done very well. I own a business. I have 3 degrees. I'm a contributing member to Tempe. I moved my business here a year ago. I'm a former teacher. I contribute to the society here. I want my sons to do the same. Move it forward, right? We can't do that in this current polar climate. We can't. And too many teachers have a license to violate their personal opinions in the classroom. It's got to stop today. You have to help me because I can't do it. I'm not omniscient. I can't see through the principal's eyes. I can't see through every teacher, all my kids. I have to make a living. I have to support them and protect them. So this is a call to this community. We are the adults in the room. We make policy. We partner together. It's not me telling you what to do. It's all of us working together to say enough is enough. Let's partner together, peacefully make working agreements for psychologically safe environments. Curriculum, policies, disciplinary action, communication, verbiage, you name it. This is an open green field for all of us. I'll raise my hand and say I'm in. Any of you guys want my help? I've built leadership curriculum for big companies. I can do this in my sleep. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. And we will certainly look into that.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Our next public speaker is Kay Tipsword.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kay Tipsword. I'm a parent of a student at Desert Vista. Sorry. I'm here to advocate for my son and request that the district reconsiders their mask mandate for our children and return to the policy which allowed parents to make that decision. As a parent, my priority is to safeguard the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of my child, and I feel that I'm uniquely qualified to do that. Since March of 2020, my family has behaved in the most responsible way for the benefit of our extended community. My son stayed home for months, didn't see his friends, or participate in any school activities that he loved. It was very difficult. As soon as the vaccine was available, our entire extended family was vaccinated. Once it was available for over 16s, my son was one of the first to get the vaccine and has been fully vaccinated for months. This mask mandate is being presented as a health mitigation strategy against transmission within our schools. The Tempe Union COVID dashboard information currently details that out of 14,569 staff and students, there are 3 cases listed as in-school transmission. That's a rate of well below 1%. Mandating masks in response to this seems absurd. I believe that forcing my fully vaccinated child to wear a mask in temperatures over 100 degrees is unscientific and extremely distressing to him. It is an impediment to his learning. I hope that the district will consider allowing the parents to make this decision for their children. After all, I'm sure none of the board members would try to suggest that their concern for our children is greater than ours. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next public speaker is Patty Castillo Porter.
Buenos días, ¿cómo están todos? Muy bien? My name is Patty Castillo Porter, and I'm here to serve you all another notice. You continue to be a tyrannical body that thinks you can mandate above the law. So here is another affidavit. Each of you have been named on it. I highly recommend that you each look at it. It went to your president of the board, Garcia. Each of you individually are named, so you need to look at it, because this is the first of several coming at you. We are holding you personally responsible for violating the laws. You are a body that we elect, and you are a body that's supposed to follow what we, the people, ask. So I've also got the Book of the Constitution, and I'm not being facetious or trying to be smart, but other than a couple months ago, I never read it, ever, because I don't teach it in our schools. But I'm giving it to you. Please take a look at it. Article 4 talks about the sovereignty of our personal beings. I don't know who I need to give this to.
Please give that.
Oh, thank you. That's all I have. I really hope you all start reading the Constitution and abiding by it and listening to what we, the people, have, because we are looking to recalling you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Muchas gracias.
Sherry Conley.
Conley. Conley.
Okay, so I'm Sherry Conley. I am here to serve you with this notice. This courtesy notice because you have failed to respond to in affidavit form to my conditional acceptance notice that was emailed to you on 8/8, stating I am conditionally accepting any expectations you may have that all students and staff follow the recommendation guidelines from the CDC upon proof of claims to the following point. I'm just going to give you a couple because there's like 40 of them that needs to be responded in affidavit form within, I think I put 2 or 3 days. Upon proof of claim that health expectations or mandates you promote or impress have passed and signed through the Congress as Article 1 of the Constitution for the United States of America or the Arizona State Legislature in order to be a true and actual law. Upon proof of claim that any state law, measure, policy, order, ordinance, mandate, or rule is null and void if it conflicts with the Arizona Constitution and or the Constitution of the United States of America, Marbury versus Mason. Under proof of claim that I do not have unalienable God-given constitutional, secure, and protected rights, privileges, and immunities that cannot lawfully interfere with and have not attempting to seize my unalienable rights secure in my person and effects. So I believe the courtesy gives you 2 days to respond. You have till the 21st in affidavit form.
Thank you. That concludes public comment. President Garcia?
All right, thank you so much. Back to business. We have consent agenda. I move to approve consent agenda. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Next, we have board policies. First, we have policy JCO, evaluation of professional staff. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the board, executive team members. This is a first read, and so the action today is more discussion and information. Policy GCO is brought here forward. Yes, can you scroll that? And Dr. Keller, are you on the line, or were we not able to get her?
No, I'm here.
Okay, let me frame it, and then if the board has additional questions, or if you want to add to what I share, please do so, okay? 12 or 13 years ago, we were required in statute to change the previous evaluation model, and every district was supposed to follow a model framework for teacher and principal evaluation. And so Tempe Union did like all the other districts did a number of years ago. And that model framework had certain elements in it that we had to comply with. But one of the key ones was the percentage amount for that accounted for between, at the time, 33 and 50% of student achievement. And what this is doing is changing some names rather than a framework, model framework, to teacher performance. The key to designate to improve teacher performance and improve student achievement is their focus now, which has always been the focus, but they're reducing the percentages from 20 to 33%. That'll be accounted for in the evaluation outcomes. We have been consistent, I believe, using 33% over the years, but this just solidifies it in the policy and in statute. Can we scroll down, or do we have questions on that piece? The terminology, they switched from using certified to certificated now, and the ironic thing about that is that probably 15, 17 years ago they used certificated, and then they switched to certified, and now they're back to certificated. So it's just a game. And then lastly, or probably more importantly, can we scroll down? The opportunity for our certified staff to have an alternative performance evaluation cycle, and subject to the following areas. That during the years in which a teacher is not undergoing a performance evaluation, that we can use that if the teacher is in the performance category that includes all those areas, but and support for lower performing teachers in personal and professional development. So we can, there's adjustments with that focus just on a growth mindset. And then the other one is that if they've been evaluated in the highest performing area for at least 3 consecutive years, they can participate in the alternative performance evaluation cycle that focuses more on establishing goals in the goal setting process, which Tempe Union uses. Let's see. And then the last one, there is. Can we go back up for C? If an alternative performance review under this subsection determines that the teacher is not in the highest performance class, the teacher shall be removed, and then they start the complete evaluation cycle all over again. These are pretty standard, but Dr. Keller, did you want to comment on any of those 3 areas for the alternative evaluation cycle? And then I believe Member James has some questions. Or no, you don't? I'm sorry. This is your meeting. Sorry, President Garcia. Dr. Keller?
I don't have any additional comments to that unless there's a question regarding that.
All right, board members, I do not see any lights. There we go. Member James.
Okay, thank you. I have a few questions on this section. The first one is just to clarify in point B, it says that they have to have 3 consecutive years by the same school to participate in the alternative performance evaluation cycle. And in statute, it is just by the same school district. So are we just putting that restriction on as a district by choice, or is that a misunderstanding?
I can answer that. Dr. Keller, do you want to take a stab at it?
Well, essentially what the statute is saying is that it has to be 3 years at the same school district. So we have to have given them an evaluation for 3 years. They could not have come to us with an evaluation to be included in that 3-year cycle. So in other words, we were the ones giving them the evaluation of highly effective.
So my question is, though, in our policy, that it says by the same school. So we have teachers switching schools. If you have a highly effective teacher switching to one of our different campuses within our district, do they have to start over? Because that's the language that is implied.
No.
Okay.
Right, they do not, no.
Okay, so maybe we could clarify that language.
Yeah, that's actually a good...
Maybe we need to add district there instead of just leaving it at school. It should state district, then school, within the district.
Yeah.
Because we have teachers transfer, and for a variety of reasons all the time, their classification stays the same and they're still in that cycle. When they come to us out of the district, they could be a 30-year teacher veteran, but they have to start the 3-year cycle to gain continuing status.
Right.
That's in statute, but that's a different matter. Okay.
Okay, and then I'm also curious about the alternative performance review. So the goal setting. So we have seen through COVID, and just I think the evolution of education in general, the importance of our relationship building with our students, that classroom environment. We're looking at restorative justice practices within our district. We're doing so much of this work. And then, of course, as a teacher, yes, our classroom environment is of the utmost importance, but the quality of instruction is as well. So I'm wondering if those goals could really focus on those vital elements, because I know as a teacher, when I get evaluated, those are some of the most important feedback areas I get. And so if our teachers are having evaluations in those off years, that they're focusing on those components that we also know lead to that academic success. If you have that classroom environment that's safe, you have high quality instruction going on in the classroom, you're going to have high academic success. So I suppose when I'm looking at the goal setting of academic achievement, well, if we have that quality instruction, we have that classroom environment, that's going to follow. And the leadership, personal, professional development, a teacher that has that high quality instruction and is creating that classroom environment that's positive, is likely doing those professional development things. So just honing in on those alternative cycles so that we can really focus on the aspects of education that are going to benefit our students the most on a social emotional level and an academic level. So I don't know if there's room to kind of look at that.
Dr. Keller, do you want to
respond? I can respond to that, because actually the goal setting process is focused on really 2 areas: academic achievement, but also specifically social emotional wellness of students in the classroom. Because the belief is if you can build, rapport, relationship, and have students feel like they belong in the classroom, and you tend to their social emotional well-being, they are going to achieve. And so it's actually twofold. Teachers can choose which specifically to focus on. So to give you an example, it could be a teacher could set a goal to implement mindfulness in the classroom and then see how the mindfulness practices that teacher incorporates affect student achievement. And so it's sort of a multifaceted approach.
And I want to add to that, the key, though, is that teachers need to be involved with their own goals. And I don't know of any teacher that doesn't want to improve their craft, because what they do is difficult. And so there's always ways in which we can help our teachers craft goals that are going to directly impact their instructional ability, and the key is just how are we showing student gain in a variety of formats. But we want the teacher's input on that because it's their goal.
Right, and,
and
just,
so,
I guess when I'm reading this, section A, it lays out that academic achievement, leadership, personal, professional development, and doesn't seem to focus on the, quality of instruction, that classroom environment. It sounds like it does, from the conversation we're having, but just reading that, it doesn't seem as though it's focusing our teachers to focus on those. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Board Member James, it does. It's by statute, there's very specific language in there that talks about leadership, talks about supporting low-performing teachers specifically, and professional development. And that is in statute. What we have chosen to do is to honor that piece of the statute, obviously, but the way we're going to go about doing that is by the goals that the teachers get to set. The goals that the teachers set, and in the framework, it will tell them that it has, they have the option to choose between specifically academic performance or social emotional well-being, which then all of that will lead to, because the way at the end of the second year of this process, the way that it will work is they will share out to teachers what they have been doing and the results and the benefits of what they've been doing in their classroom. So hence meeting the need for the lower performing teachers and being able to impact them. Additionally, they can take on professional development that will allow them to try these strategies out, test the waters with some of their ideas. And so the larger goal according to statute is what's in A, but how we go about that is what we can define.
That sounds great.
But I think what Board Member James is saying is that this doesn't say all of the good things that we all are saying. And part of this is, though, driven from ASBA. So if we can, Jordan, work with Dr. Keller, and maybe we can add some of those aspects of our evaluation system on that highlight goal setting, all of that would be helpful.
Yeah, we can definitely address.
That sounds great. Yeah, because that sounds
this is dry.
Like the valuable part of of that.
This is real dry.
And so then, just to clarify, that those alternative years, if I've set my goals and I'm looking at something social emotional learning in my classroom, maybe the mindfulness example, then I will have my evaluation, but it'll be a more focused evaluation on that goal setting versus the teacher rubric, the big thing.
Right. They'll be using the goal setting evaluation form and monitoring their goals. And some goals take 2 years. And so that was the purpose and mindset around that as well.
Okay, so on those alternative years, they're not using that big tool with all of the different standards for that teacher's evaluation. They're using a different
They're not.
tool. Okay.
Am I correct in saying that, Mary? Dr. Keller? They are not.
Yes, correct. There's been a whole...
the statute requires that we evaluate, not necessarily in a full-blown evaluation, pre-eval, and the whole formal process.
But they are having that eval, but it's based on a different tool, that goal setting tool.
The goal setting, and when they monitor the goals at the end of the year, that's their evaluation record.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Sorry, Dr. Keller. Being in HR, I just kind of thought I'd throw with it. So, is that it?
All right. Next, we have Member Montero.
Thank you. I first just want to echo what Member James said, and I know I already had a conversation with Dr. Mandeville about this, and I first want to thank Dr. Keller because that did answer one of my questions, and specifically, what is with the goal setting and specific to social emotional wellness, and I'm glad that is a specific goal that teachers can incorporate. But I would also echo what Member James said, is if that's maybe something we can incorporate in the language of the policy, just to reflect what we're doing in practice, to also put it in policy as a specific area for that goal setting, for that evaluation, specific to, like what Member James was saying, positive classroom environment, social emotional wellness, relationship building. I think we all know that is a huge focus that we have had as a district moving forward, and so I think being able to reflect that in the policy would be good as well. And I think more specifically, looking at the section at the evaluation of principals, we have looking at the guidelines that we set out in the new mental health policy, JLDAA. We have those 16 bullet points of, I think those are things we can look at when we're looking at the principal evaluation as well, if we can incorporate that. Obviously not in the policy, I'm just saying in general for that practice. I think there's a lot of good points in there that we can kind of incorporate into that evaluation if possible.
Yeah, and the social emotional wellness initiatives of the district that will be ongoing are naturally going to be part of the evaluation, not just for our teachers, but our staff and for our principals. Dr. Keller, do you want to share a little bit about the principals evaluation, since this is also including the principals?
Yes, and actually,
Briefly.
I will, and I will tell you that, we have already started to kind of look into this and to get started, and that's why we're anxious to get this done, because we are working with a consultant to help guide us in putting this all together. And part of what we're looking at are the leadership standards that are out there for Arizona, and many of them, there's a variety of them, and that's sort of going to help us with the framework and focus us on what it is we want to include in the evaluation tool. Obviously, we have to have a certain percentage of student data in this one as well, which is really the biggest change to the principal's evaluation, is making sure that there's student data that is out there, and that is a variety of data that we can look at. I mean, it can be academic data. It can also be social emotional data that we look at, but there's also pieces of the leadership that speaks very specifically to the needs of students. And so that will definitely be incorporated in the evaluation tool. And we have a group of principals and others that are going to be finalizing that.
Thank you, Dr. Keller.
All right. Are there any other thoughts or comments or questions? All right. Member James?
Okay, just above where it says evaluation of principals, it says that the district shall establish a system for the evaluation of the performance of principals, other school administrators, and psychologists. The district will seek advice from district administrators and psychologists in the development of this performance evaluation system. But we have a director of diversity and inclusion that I think should be a crucial component of developing these evaluations tools, really to be able to look at this through the lens of that equity and how our leaders are instilling and really utilizing the diversity and inclusion department that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And the principals certainly and supervisors have been involved with the development of this, along with the consultant. And the consultant was chosen specifically because of their experience in the development of evaluation tools for educational employees, namely administrators. But we certainly will include, and I think he has, Dr. Moon's thoughts have been included with this as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments for this item? All right. I will, for the sake of time, I will I share sentiments and thoughts and comments as my fellow board members have shared thus far. So, having said that, are there final? No? All right. Then we will, for a reminder for folks, this is a first read. It will come back for additional reading. Next, we have policy JC, school attendance area, first reading. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the board, executive team members. We bring forward the change to this policy, and as stated in policy BGB, policies may be adopted or amended at a single meeting of the governing board when the proposed policy or amendment is consistent with statutes and other policies, and board members are unanimously in favor of the adoption. And that's what we are proposing for policy JC. This is very simple. There's one paragraph that's stricken, and it basically indicates that the landowners who, where a school has been built within the last 5 years, that should the boundary changes occur, that the entity, the landowner, the donor, actually will be informed of the board's decision. We haven't had any land donated to us for at least 25, maybe even 30 years. We are landlocked, so I don't think we have much to worry about this one, but we're just updating the policy.
Board members, any thoughts, comments, or questions on this item? No? All right. Then we will move forward with adoption, if that's on. All right. I move to approve policy JC. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have for business services approval of a Rule 80A settlement agreement with Salt River Project. And Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the board. We do, as administration, recommend that the board approve the Rule 80A settlement agreement with Salt River Project for the high voltage easement at Kyrene Road and Loop 202, and authorize District Legal Counsel James Brazelton to prepare and sign on behalf of the district the necessary documents to be processed through the courts. We recommend the approval as the action for tonight.
All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Mandeville. Board members, any thoughts, comments, or questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All right. I move to approve the recommendation. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have unfinished business, which is the proposed 2022 ASBA political agenda. Dr. Mandeville.
Well, I thank you, President Garcia, and Vice President Barraza is your representative, so I have forwarded the comments, and this is the time where you can streamline your priorities so that Vice President Barraza has the information that he needs as he speaks on behalf of TUHSD.
All right. Who would like to go? Oh, here we go. Member Montero.
Thank you. So yeah, after reading through, I think there's a lot of really good things in here. The only concern that I had, and I think just given the situation that we're in, and I understand this is for 2022, I just don't think it's the best interest to strike all of the COVID language. I think we have seen that we are in a circumstance we didn't expect to be in, and we don't know how much longer we're going to be in this situation. Obviously, reading through some of the bullet points, some of it isn't, we obviously wouldn't need now, but I think some of it is still fairly relevant that we should include, and I think that's a conversation we should have as a board, is what is still relevant. I just don't think we should be striking all of the COVID language, and given the impact that this is going to continue to have on public education, I just don't think it's something that's relevant.
Okay, we're writing this down too for Vice President Barraza, okay? We're writing this down for you, so.
Oh, appreciate it. I guess my apologies. Do I have a moment, Mr. President? Okay. I guess Board Member Montero, I guess if you can just kind of, come back to me when you kind of want to zero in on what you think. I'd like to also hear on what my other board members think in terms of COVID too, so if you guys can just give me clarity on that, not necessarily tonight, but some point. This is something, is that correct, Dr. Mandeville, that we can continue having discussions on?
No, I
we have
think
to bring it back here
today's the day, because
That's
I
what I wanted
think
to
we
check.
have a
Okay.
conference in a couple weeks, I think.
2 weeks,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, I guess, whatever you guys can provide me in terms of clarity for advocacy in the entirety of the document, not just COVID in general, that would be very helpful.
Member Hodge?
I think the state funding program designed in bulk purchase, sanitary wipes, I think that's going to be ongoing, and I don't think that has, I think we need to keep that in there because that is not going away. So we can, it would, you know, I guess this was made when they thought that it was just going to be a couple of, you know, a couple of months or a year. But I think we need to add that, keep that going because this is going to be ongoing. So I just see that being a part, we should just not scratch that. That should continue to be a part of it because that's going to be a part of our lives.
So continue the
Because, yeah,
conversation
the
and make
state
sure that
funding
we're
program
on
designed
top
to-
of it,
yes.
advocating with the rest of the state. Okay.
Yes. And also the funding to increase and occur due to COVID-19, including the costs meet for social needs. I think that needs to stay too.
Member Montero?
Yeah, I was just going to echo Member Hodges' point. I think at least 2 points that we should also, to keep is the funding for increased expenses occurred during COVID-19, including costs to meet the social emotional needs. Also, technology modernization and accessibility to ensure students have the technology and equipment to use during times like these with current COVID-19 pandemic. I think those are 2 that we should keep.
Thank you so much. Member James?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the obvious ones we strike are the ones that are 2020 to 2021, but most of them have significance for what we're in right now. Obviously, the one about maintaining the rights of school districts to close, that should be, we know that we're going through the county for that, so we can strike that, but really the rest of it seems, aside from the ones that are date specific or no longer relevant, that we should be keeping those because we're still in the same public health crisis, a little bit better with vaccinations, but still we need to make sure we are protecting our schools, giving them extra funding for, like Member Hodge said, the sanitizing and so on. So I do think that we really need to keep a good chunk of this, and striking it seems premature.
All right.
So what I'm hearing also, I'm sorry, is that we...
Okay, okay.
Member Hodge?
All right, I just
Sorry
want to
about
say, I agree with I think we should keep most of it and just take out the years in it, all of it, because even when I look at it, hold district harmless for significant enrolled losses for school year, we don't know what 22, 23 is going to look like, so I'm thinking maybe take some of the years out of this stuff and just keep it all, because there's no way that we can't tell what's going to happen in the future. I just think we need to remove the years out of all of it.
Yeah, I echo that.
And that's consensus for everybody? Okay, we're taking
Yeah.
good notes over here. We just want to make sure.
All right. Are there any other items within the document, any other sections that board members would like to address? Vice President Brazel?
Yes, I agree with my board members. I think the big problem I'm looking at is just making sure I can, well, when we go to advocate for these points, it's going to be what, really, it all sounds great, but, pragmatism versus idealism says pragmatism will probably make 3 focal points our issues. So I guess if I can hear from my board members, it sounds like there's funding and as well as the aspect of COVID to be kind of the focal point of whatever we tackle, since those are the dynamic issues. So I guess, would it be fair to say that I should advocate for all of these issues in the context of, we are obviously policies and development of policies statewide, but political in terms of funding? Like, is that kind of where we're at? Or is this something that I guess really what I'm getting at is, when we go to adequately funding for the cost of student transportation, and then we have the other bullet point, ensure a formula for school finance funding. You know, those two can be really, you know, we both like them, but I guess in the end, I want to get something done. I really want to advocate our point. And so I just kind of want to get some clarity of where to narrow down, I guess is what I should say, ultimately.
So these are in categories already. So I think what I hear you saying too is that if, for as an example, I would suggest that to the ASBA committee, taking the impact of COVID-19 on public schools, that can be one category of priority for the district. And, you know, to Member Hodges' point about shifting the dates, because we're going to be in this all year long, I have a feeling. Maybe not to the degree that we were last year, but we're going to have to respond to it. So, because many of these items we're already doing, but it doesn't take away from that larger category of managing the impact of COVID-19 on our schools. I think as another larger category, let's see. The funding is always a good one, just in general, that they prioritize and fund properly and appropriately public education for starters. And that would help in a variety of ways as we do our business of running the school, the running of the business part of the school district that impacts our students and teachers if they properly fund schools. That would be very helpful. So I would see that as a category. And you could only have two if you wanted. Those are two big ones, you know.
Member James.
So I would also say, though, improving outcomes for all students would be a really good one to go to bat for, because we are focusing on that student-centered, students first, and there are some really good things in here that we could advocate for as a district that would help us attain our goals and speak to our core values. So I would like to see you definitely go to bat for that.
Does that give you what
Yes, I think, you know, like just understanding that we're under an umbrella of COVID-related dynamics, you know, all of these can be applicable, and we can advocate for all those under the conditions and fit it into what may necessitate for that moment. So that's really what I was really looking to get clarification for, is how to advocate for those points. And so thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What we will do, Vice President Barraza, is also just write this up for you, just so we've captured by using the minutes that will be on record. So we have very clearly the thoughts and intentions of the board as it relates to that, and that'll be helpful. Okay? All right.
All right. Hearing and seeing none, may I get a motion for this item, please?
So move.
Thank you so much. May I have a second?
I second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have the Marcos Denizo Fire update. Dr. Mandeville.
Thank you, President Garcia, Vice President Barraza, members of the board, executive team. It's been quite a week already, starting on Saturday. Unfortunately, we had a fire at Marcos Denizo in the 100 building, the section of the school that has the largest number of classrooms, 40 classrooms and 3 labs to be exact. But fortunately, it was contained, and it was what we consider a small fire that was caught quickly. And thankfully, our sprinkler systems worked very well, and we have a very responsive Tempe Fire Department, and so we're very appreciative of that. But quickly, the executive team members, Sean McDonald, Marcos administration, Dr. Wilson, Mrs. Mielmans, I mean, everyone was on board navigating the crisis, because that's what it was. And fortunately, the fire was put out rather quickly, but as I mentioned, our sprinklers worked really well. And so we have fired the water damage and smoke and air quality issues. And each day, as we get more information from The Sagebrush is the company that's doing the cleaning and the restoration, and Dominion for the air quality, along with working with our trust partners. We're in a good spot. We were concerned that we were going to be out of school because right now school is being handled remotely. We're fortunate that our teachers responded quickly. We handed out laptops because the teachers in that building, all of them could not access their computers because they weren't allowed to be in the building. So we were able to re-image laptops for them and for them to use very quickly. So those were passed out Sunday afternoon from the IT department. So thank you, Mrs. Mielmans and John Zump for handling that. So the teachers had what they needed for the most part to get through these 5 days. So it looks like we will be able to return back to school in person on Wednesday, August 25th of next week. We were concerned because clap, that deserves a big clap because I was worried about that. But we want our teachers, especially the teachers who are truly displaced from those 19 classrooms, those were directly impacted, they will have a little bit more time to set up in their new spaces around the school. So we were able to keep the school intact and not have to share or transport students to Compadre's D&E building where we have space there with classrooms. The challenge right now is looking at the cohorts, and so we've done that for the entire campus. They've been conducting classes remotely and successfully. We were sad to not be able to hold the AVID graduation promise and open house, but they're going to reschedule that in a couple of weeks, and you will know about that real soon. As I mentioned, August 25th is our start date. This will allow for the teachers to do proper preparation and to go through that loss process because it's shocking when you're locked out of your classroom because there was a fire there. And so I have to commend the Marcos Deniza staff, the administration, all the teachers and staff, security, our food and nutrition. We were able to maintain the continuity of our programming, and that includes our food and nutrition departments. We were able to go, begin the grab-and-go meals at breakfast and at lunchtime to service our families who may need a hot meal during the day. So I'm very, very proud that we were able to maintain the quality programming and, more importantly, the continuity for our students during their day, albeit it was at home remotely, but they better get ready to be back in school next Wednesday. That's my update.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mandeville. We appreciate the update. We're all, Marcos has been in all of our thoughts since we found out, so we're proud of the resilience and looking forward to everyone getting back to campus and finding ways to support our Padres. So if there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know because we're all very active in wanting to support.
Well, and we're also showing our solidarity for Marcos and the entire community with our masks. So thank you, Governing Board. Great ideas.
Yes, thank you, Member James, for recommending that to everyone. So thank you. Next, we have communications from the Governing Board, and we'll begin with Member Hodge.
President Garcia, next time around, I think we can switch it around so I don't be the first one all the time.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay. I got it. I got you. All right.
Okay. Well, I always start off with my quote. This one is, when you can't control what happens, challenge yourself to control the way you respond. That is where the power is. And it's anonymous. I just want to start off by giving a big consolidating hug to my Marcos Deniza family. I know it's been tough, and this is when we rise above. I actually went down there Saturday morning when I heard it. Mr. McDonald took me around and showed me where the fire and the flood was at, and I want to give a thank you to our Tempe Fire Department for being so fast to respond to our fire and getting it out as soon as possible. And thank you to the principals and all of the security that was there working when I came in and saw the fire. So thank you so much. We have a wonderful district and we have a wonderful community, because I got letters and emails and phone calls outpouring to what happened, and they were concerned for Marcos de Niza. So, and it wasn't just Marcos de Niza community, it was all over. So thank you so much to our community for pulling together when we have a situation. I won't even say a tragedy. I think it's just an obstacle that we will get over. Thank you. That's all I have to report.
Thank you so much, Member Hodge. Member Montero?
Thank you. First, I just want to echo Member Hodge's point, and give my condolences. And again, big hug to everyone that that was affected, and to our Marcos community. Obviously, we are all here to support you, and whatever we can do to support you, we will do. And beyond that, I had the chance to finish my rounds to all of our schools. I finished up with Desert Vista on Friday with President Garcia. I got to visit and talk with some teachers, with some students, and also wanted to give a shout out to Amanda Domino, the librarian over at Desert Vista, for welcoming us in, showing us all she's done to revamp the library, and also give us a good laugh, because we need that during these times. And with that, I've been doing a lot of reflecting, with the situation that we were handed, and what we've all been experiencing, and I want to take this opportunity just to share a few comments with that. We and school boards across the state have been put in the center of an unprecedented storm and have been asked to make some incredibly difficult decisions, much of which have come from our state leadership. But we all have the same goal: to end this pandemic and to give our students the best possible educational experience while remaining safe and healthy. And while we may not always agree on what the best path forward is, please know that every single person up here cares very deeply about keeping our students, staff, and families safe, healthy, and in person to offer the best possible education. This isn't about politics. This is about keeping our students and staff safe. We always have and will continue to do everything in our power to continue that. I've spent a lot of time with and gotten to know every board member and Dr. Mandeville and a lot of the district leadership, and I can tell you we do this because we care. None of us get paid. We are all elected to represent you, the community, to represent the students, to represent the staff, and to represent our diverse families that we have here in the district. And while we continue to do everything that we can up here, we cannot do it alone. This takes every one of us in our communities to work together for the benefit of our district and to end this pandemic. I've said it before and I will say it again: in order to do that, we have to take the necessary steps. That includes proven health mitigation strategies, and two of the most effective measures that we have, including masks and vaccinations. So again, if you have not yet been vaccinated, please do so. It keeps all of us, our students and our staff, safe. We have so many great opportunities, including pod sites at all of our campuses. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, for putting those together. And I know she's not here, but to Megan Sterling for putting that out there in the community. And I think what we have experienced at Marcos has reminded me that all of us can and will come together as a district and a community to support our students, staff, and families in times of need. And what I revere about everyone in this room is that from the get-go, from when I was a student to now being on the board, is that we have always said that Tempe Union, we are one family. And through all of that we have faced and will continue to face, we have never wavered from that sentiment. I ask that we all keep that in mind as we continue to navigate these challenging times. We always have and always will have the best interests of our students, staff, and families in mind, no matter what is thrown our way. That doesn't just apply to those that are up here. That applies to all of us as a collective, as a community. And we will get through this, and we will come out stronger than ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Montero. Member James.
I think you said it all, Board Member Montero and Board Member Hodge. Yes, Marcos, that was a hard thing to hear about on Saturday. And I know that the students and the teachers who have been working so hard to try to have a more normal year, and it is different than last year. We have the vaccines and we have Mr. McDonald running an amazing pods here all over the place and like such uncharted territory. So I do appreciate Board Member Montero bringing that focus of getting through this together. And I think if we do that, he's correct. We're going to get through this, and we have that glimmer of hope. And when we come together and we all do something little like wearing a mask to keep our community safe, we are stronger. And I'm looking at our Marcos kids and our Marcos staff dealing with that, and then on top of that, the fire. So I'm so grateful to hear that we have a date to get our kids back on campus. This is a year where I think there are more kids excited to be at school than ever before. And so we are here for all our kids, our staff, and we want them to be able to come back and really have kind of a second chance at that great start. And it sounds like everything that's going on, we are in great hands. So I am just overwhelmingly grateful to everyone who worked so hard this weekend to get school going remotely once again for our Marcos community. And we are here. We love you, Padres. And I want to give a shout out to Sarah Tolar. I ran in to Marcos today after school, got in the office, and she went and rounded up shirts so we could all show our Marcos pride. So thank you to Principal Tolar.
Thank you, Member James. Vice President Barraza.
Yes, good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see everyone. It's definitely been a tough weekend, very tiring. You all had to work very long hours. I really appreciate that. That's not easy in this time, trying to find some personal time with your families. So I greatly appreciate that. You guys working diligently to make sure that we have school Monday. You know, that was very difficult. To take everything back to a virtual model and do it within the next 24 hours, essentially. There's a lot of the process that had to go into in coordination. So I just want to make sure, you know, that the community really appreciates this. And the August 25th date, that's phenomenal. That's remarkable. It just shows how much advocacy you guys push to try and make sure that all these ducks got aligned to be able to do this, and it shows the value of all your work and how hard you guys are willing to work, you know, and step up. You know, the same goes for, I want to make sure that I include, you know, Principal Toller, the staff at Marcos, Denisa, and all the students and families, the communication, the acceptance, the ability to be dynamic and adjust in these moments. And sure, you know, it hurt everyone, but it, you know, everyone picked their shoulders back up and said, okay, well, this is what we have to do. I know that the date was way further out, so, you know, thank you for such expedition, you know, and towards that date. There's a lot of things that have to get approved in order to move that forward, and to the community as well, you know, the fire department and so forth, to be able to put that on their priority list for us to be able to get those schools open. It's very much appreciated, and the kids will be the benefactors of all of it in the end. Sounds like open school or parent-teacher night went really well, and I hope that you know, there's a lot of individuals that will continue to make those connections with their teachers and get to know each other. I think that's part of the rebuilding that we heard tonight, and you know, that people wanted to echo, that we really need to establish these relationships and get back to what we do best. And so I greatly appreciate that. And the only way we're going to be able to continue this is, you know, if we all accept the mitigating procedures. You know, it's just something we all have to do, and it's a lot of weight on our staff, on the shoulders of our security, of our teachers. They're caught in the political mess. It's their classrooms in which it will ultimately come down to. Those interactions. How does a staff member interact with the student? How does the parents and the teachers and the principal and all the facets that have to come in? It's very stressful, and the job's already stressful for all of you. So I don't envy having to wake up in the morning and immediately have to deal with all of that. So whatever we can advocate and do, I think this is number one, is the mask. That's what gets us beyond the politics. It's what keeps us in a 5-day work or school day. And I think, for those that really, they don't want to wear it for political reasons, for personal reasons, there's a lot of reasons why we all choose to or not do something. They're decisions we all inherently make. And so I would just like to ask those that don't want to wear it and to put a paper clip on your mask and let others know, just as a symbol, that I don't want to wear it, but I wear it for you. I think for me, if I saw someone, I was speaking to someone and they're wearing a mask and they had a paper clip, I think I'd highly respect that, because I understand what they're doing and what they're trying to tell me. And I think that can be an aspect of that, communicating that. And I know there's a lot of students and staff members out there that are doing exactly that. So, maybe it's a way to kind of acknowledge their efforts, the ones that are being quiet, that don't want to wear it, but they still come in every day and they wear it. And, we should honor that. We should, respect that, because they respect, the other individuals' beliefs. So that's what I asked. Maybe a paper clip, some designation. I think a paper clip might work fine, but I wish you all, lots of happiness this year and a lot of excitement, community members, staff members, all. It really can be a really great year. Let's just really keep these in mind and keep the politics out of it, is really what I really stress. And this is a moment for those that don't want to wear it, for them to live up to the occasion, for those that really want you to and really need you to. So, hats off to those that are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice President Barraza. I'm very grateful for this board, because everyone brings a lot of thoughtfulness and is very meaningful in their intentionality. So thank you to this board and to the district. I know it has not been easy, especially because we all expected to be in a different spot right now. But you have all showed your own resilience in your own ways. And that also needs to be recognized for your own contributions and work, countless hours that I know you've all continue to put in, even when we tell you you all deserve a break too. Because you definitely do, and this goes to everyone in this room and all of our teachers and our staff, because your own wellness matters too. Echoing everyone else here, our hearts go out to Marcos. Very excited to the new date, so we can all return back. But to kind of echo Member Montero's comments about family, Tempe Union is a family of schools, and we have always prioritized and geared towards that, because this is our community. And so thank you for sharing your thoughts on that piece, and for all of us to make sure we're looking out for each other. I think we've, as a general point, have gotten away from appreciating each other, despite potential differences that we might have, but still holding that respect for each other. As fellow board members have shared, we don't get paid for this role. Oftentimes it ends up being a second full-time job, which we will do in a heartbeat. We love all the work that we do for our students and our families and our community. But some of the emails that we get from time to time are very, very nasty, and we really try to look at it from the other person's point of view and really try to hone in on the key messaging that we can relate to our superintendent to make sure that concerns are being addressed. But at the end of the day, we are humans too, and we engage in those manners as well. So just incredibly grateful for everyone's work that we can get to do on the daily. So thank you all for that. And then I also just wanted to shout out, because I did join, as Member Montero mentioned, round to Desert Vista and the library with our lovely librarian and everyone there. But also, it came to our attention that it was Mr. Contract's birthday that day. So and from our understanding, yes, we've been told that we need to go and make a visit because board members would visit on his birthday. So we're going to start making that a renewed tradition to go visit Mr. Contract. So thank you so much to the library staff and everything that you would do, and for our students and for everyone. So thank you. I'm very tired, if you could not tell. So I will go to our next item with our executive team. Dr. Mandeville, any updates or communications?
No, just again, thankful for our executive team members and all that they did over the weekend. And whenever something happens, they are always putting in that extra time and energy and passion around making things right for our students and for our employees. So thank you. Mr. McDonald.
Dr. Mandeville and Government Board Member, thank you for the acknowledgement, but I'd be remiss if I didn't share with all the ones that really do and have the boots on the ground in our plant foreman, Augustine over at Marcos Teniza, Mr. Thorby and Mr. Payan, who work so diligently, and I don't think they've gotten any rest with the chillers and the fire and things of that nature. And then, of course, our security guards who stood ground and made sure that the building was safe and no one went in. And so I just appreciate, the ones that work so hard for us every day. So want to acknowledge them as well. They really make it all happen.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Yes, thank you so much. We definitely could not do anything in this district, so thank you all. Any additional communications?
No, thank you.
All right. All right, y'all, let's wrap this up. All right, so our next regular meeting is September 15th, 2021. I move to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0, and we are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good night.